So you adopted a puppy, but now you're going back to work. How's that going to work? For advice, I'm joined by Gord Hunter, Executive Director of the Kingston Humane Society. So how are things going at the shelter?
Things are going pretty well considering. I mean, we're all entering a whole different world these days and we're learning as we go. But we've got adoptions up and running. We're calling them contactless adoptions. So far, we've adopted over 30 cats to new loving forever homes. And pretty soon, within the next 48 to 72 hours, we'll have our first dogs. And they've all been in foster care and they've been doing great, but we want to get the dogs into forever homes as well. And we just had to come up with a plan that was safe for people to come and also safe for our employees as well, in terms of making sure there's little to no chance of transmission of COVID.
So if somebody is interested in adopting a dog, what will happen when they go to the shelter? Do they need to make an appointment?
Yeah, so it's an appointment-based adoption right now. We can't open the doors yet to have people come through and see the dogs or cats and then choose to meet with one. So they'll look on our website, find an animal that they feel is suitable. Then they'll get in touch with our customer care folks and they will make an appointment. Specifically in terms of dogs, they would come to the shelter. We would put the dog in what we call Missy's Way, which is a small fenced-in area right behind the shelter that allows the dog to run around a bit and be off leash with obviously safe in a fenced-in area, and outside is obviously much better in terms of any potential transmission of COVID as well. So, and our customer care staff will be wearing masks and we'll ask anyone coming to the shelter to wear a mask as well. So, and then they'll have a chance to meet their dog and hopefully make a connection, and then they can complete the transaction at the front of our building and hopefully walk away with a brand new family member.
Yeah, it's really well thought through. It's not like the old days, so they can't take it for a walk. They can't really pet it or touch it. They just observe. Is that what will happen?
No, we're okay with them petting and touching the dog. Animals, although it's not perfectly established, it's very, very highly unlikely that animals will transmit the virus. And of course, our staff care for the animals with gloves and personal protective equipment anyway. So there's very little chance. And we want the people to make a connection with their animal. And it wouldn't be fair, I think, especially with dogs, if they couldn't have a bit of a hands-on experience.
Yeah, I've always heard that you don't pick the dog picks you.
Yeah, we've seen that any number of times.
So some people went out and adopted a puppy or a kitten because, well, they live alone and they're lonely. And so they've been together 24 hours a day and now they're going back to work. So they'll be away for 8 to 10 hours a day. So what should they put in place before they go back to work?
Well, I mean, it's a pretty loaded conversation, Donna, because as you know, at the Humane Society, we want people to adopt animals for the right reason. We want them to have done their due diligence and planned and understand that they're adopting that animal not just for a short-term fix or maybe to provide company while they're in isolation, but hopefully for 14, 16, 18 years. So, so we would want people to obviously just keep that in mind. People have to go back to work, and we're all doing it. You and I are working from home. I'm working from home 1 of 3 days. So on the days where nobody's home, we would want to make sure that if it's a dog and you're going to be away for, I would say, longer than an 8-hour period, then you make sure that you have someone who can safely go into your house and allow your dog out to pee or to take care of some business, and make sure there's water and things like that if they're away for a longer period of time. For cats are a little easier in terms of that sort of care. I mean, generally, again, at the Humane Society, we would like cats to be indoor animals. We don't want cats roaming the neighborhoods. So you're going to have a litter box in the house. So that sort of care for that side of things is fairly easy for cats, so they can be home alone a little easier. But we just want to make sure for a young dog or a puppy, crating them is the best training, because dogs have this den instinct where they're not going to use the bathroom, go to the bathroom in the place that they sleep in. So that's a great way to train dogs. So hopefully during isolation, they've been working on that, and we can always provide some assistance in terms of our customer care staff are available by phone and or by email. And they can get in touch with us if they have any questions in terms of caring for animals once they're back to work.
That's a really good idea. So, and just to be clear, a crate isn't, you don't throw the dog in the crate because they were bad. This is their space. This is where they go, and it's like having their own little apartment in your house. Isn't that the concept of a crate?
Exactly. Yeah. You want the crate to be open and easy for the animal to get in and out of. You don't want it to be in, an area of the house where they're not frequenting, so that when you're taking them to the crate, they're not familiar with it and they're a little frightened. You want it to be there around them as much as possible, and leave the crate door open so they can go in and out. And hopefully they just go in and sleep in there when they're, when it's time for a nap. Um, yeah, we want it to be as easy and as friendly a process as possible. It's certainly not something that you would want to use for punishment.
Some people leave a radio or a television on. Does that really help a dog?
I think we do tend to anthropomorphize animals and give them human traits. Um, I'm sure there are studies. I'm not familiar with them, Donna, to be honest with you. But personally, we leave CBC on for our cats. They're the most educated cats when we're out of the house. I don't think it hurts to have a little sound in the background, and certainly music has proven to be have a calming effect on animals. And we use it at the shelter with animals who are having anxiety issues or separation anxiety. We keep a radio nearby for those animals, and we do see that it has a positive effect.
Well, we had a cat that actively watched television. And if it was a hockey game, when the puck went off the screen, he'd go around behind the television trying to find the puck. I mean, they're smarter than we give them credit for. How about that pet sharing? I got to think there's people out there who like to have a pet, but not all the time, and don't really want the expense. But if you agreed to pick up the expenses of a dog, just to give them company during the day, somebody walk them, but they're still actually your dog. You're just it's sort of like a babysitter, but you're doing them a favor too. Would you? What about an arrangement like that?
Yeah, again, especially these times, Donna, we have to be so careful about the transmission of COVID, and certainly we don't see any vaccine or mitigating medicine until next year at the earliest. So obviously, you would want to be careful with that. But I think it's a great idea, and people who may live in an area where they can't have animals, or it's not as easy. I think it's a wonderful idea, and we certainly we see that with families who are dealing with separation or divorce, where a dog or cat is shared, much like in a custody situation, much like children. So I think and as long as you're careful and take your time, and patience is such a key with animals. And I think if you consider all those things, I think it's a great idea.
So you're just about to open, sort of, a little more than before. What can we do to help you? What do you need up there?
Well, right now, I know that either yesterday or maybe it's going up today on our social media, we are asking for some cat food. We're running out of canned cat food, and it doesn't have to be anything special. It's just there are often times where cats are a little finicky with dry food or specific foods, so we like to have a wide variety. We know that that's a great way for some of our donors to when they're at the grocery store, pick up a few extra cans and drop them off. Our process is a little different now, so the drop-offs are happening outside, and just make our customer care staff aware either by knocking on the door, and they'll come to the door with their personal protective equipment, mask, and etc. And the donors can say we dropped off some cat food, in which case we go out, pick it up, bring it in, clean it off in terms of sanitizing wipes, and then we can give it to the animals. Money always is helpful, and it sounds kind of crass to say that, but 70% of our funding comes from donations from supporters in the community, and especially with the loss of all our event-based fundraisers. So any of the events that have happened or would have happened at this time of year are all canceled or postponed. And that's about $70,000 in funding that we're not getting. So, and our supporters have been great, but we can always use that. It helps us with flexibility in terms of what we need to do. Our biggest bills are often medication and items like that for animals either having surgery or requiring medical treatment. So anything like that is great.
Sounds great. Well, congratulations on the work you do, and stay safe.
Thanks, Don, and we certainly appreciate all the support you've given us over the years.